Okay, so let me just, yeah. So, hi and good evening, everyone. Today we would be doing the GFG post contest analysis of 105. So, before we move forward, just if you have joined, just give me a quick one. So, now there were a lot of confusions regarding the test cases and all, like this solution is good or not. So, I just held back the post contest analysis by 30 minutes to recheck what I have done, my preparations. Now, the very next thing is let's talk about the feedback of the contest. What I think is that even the first question of Div 2 of Code Forces is not that hard than this. So, if you were not able to solve the first problem itself, it's very damn fine because like it wasn't on the based on the very easy side, but it was a medium problem, the very first thing. Okay, so can I have a quick yes or no that am I just like let me just check that. Mhm. GFG practice and then GFG weekly coding contest. Based on the very easy side. Okay, fair enough. So now, if you face any issues with the audio and all, just let me know. The very next thing is let's talk about the feedback of the contest. The first problem was a pen and paper problem, and the idea to navigate in a grid is to be already understood. Then just solving the problem would be a little bit easy. Let's talk about the second problem, that is the running instruction. This in this problem, if the value of k was not that great high, then it would have been an easy problem with partition problem. Like I won't just tell you the whole problem, but still just giving you an overview for people who already have tried a lot. So if the value of k was a little bit less, then it would have been on the easier side, equal some partition problem, but it was wrapped up. Okay, and there is a small observation that would tell you that this wrapping thing can be unrepeated. The very next thing. The last problem is a problem where I think so that they forgot to mention that you can revisit a particular cell. If they had mentioned the revisit of a particular cell, then that would have been great. Why? Because the second sample in the second in the well, there is only one sample test case in the last problem. But they have the path illustrated by them shows only those paths which are not revisiting a particular cell. Here we are not mentioned that we can't revisit a particular cell, but they should have just mentioned a small line that you can revisit a particular cell. If this was already mentioned, then trust me, this problem would have been on the hard side. Okay, so now let's move forward with the problem. No, the first test case was not wrong because I just took back it. Don't worry. Okay, like I verified it. Okay, so now let me just start off. I think my screen should be visible. Yep. So now, yep. So now the very first thing is that we are given a grid. Okay, we are given a grid. So let's just simply draw a grid. Okay. Oops. Let's just remove this. Let's say this is a whole damn grid. Let's take advantage of this. Let me just change the paper. Mhm. Change the paper to this. Yep, the problem is now solved. So see, so I would just change it here also so that I can just, yep. So see, in this problem, we are told that here we have a person standing here. Okay, like let's say a person named as A, And then we are also told that we are having a person B. Okay. Now we are told that they're given a grid. There are two persons standing, and initially the grid has only two persons standing at locations. Okay. It is just like this similar technique. Like let's say these two person are in a room. Okay. Like let's say this illustrate this in a room, and I don't want A or B to meet each other. Okay. So I would lay down. Let's say I would lay down a strip of thorns, okay, around A or rather B, and then I can solve it. So the very first way is, okay, the very first way to lay down the thorn so that don't meet. ट्रांसलेटिंग द सेम इन हिंदी वुड बी, एक रूम के अंदर लेट से दो पर्सन है ए और बी, और उसके अगल बगल हमें थॉर्न का स्ट्रिप लगाना है ताकि दो मिल ना पाए. ओके, सो व्हाट आर द डिफरेंट वेज, okay, what are the different ways we can prohibit both of them to meet? The very first way is that we lay down a pack of thorn here, strip of thorn here, and we strip of thorn here. This is the first one. Okay, the very next one is that we, if we just wrap up a pack of thorn around A, then B won't be able to meet. A beautiful example would be, let's say me and my best friend are in the same city, so we can move. Okay, but if he goes to a different city, then we can't meet. So it is just like the same scenario, that we don't need to keep a boundary on both of them, we can keep a boundary on either of them. Like either we can keep a boundary around A, or either we can keep a boundary around B, and that would be sufficient. Okay, now there are three ways. The very first way is keep a boundary around A and B. Then the very next one is keep a boundary around B. And the third one is keep a boundary around A. Okay, these are the three options we have. Now, we already know that जैसा भी condition हो, these two would be more beneficial than this two. Okay, fair enough? इतना तो पता है. अब now the question comes. Now see, I would show you different instances. Okay, just see it. Okay, where this would be beneficial. Like let's say that I would use this boundary. Okay, this boundary को use करते हैं. Okay, now I would just write one. Okay, so agar, so a person can move in left, right, left, up, down. These are the four. So अगर हम चारों तरफ से उसे बंद कर दे, then he can't move. Okay, so let's say a person is, a person can be here, a person can be, a person can be here. Okay, so first let us see the test cases, because many people are telling the test cases are okay, like the test cases is self-explanatory. Okay, so the very first condition is that if the person is standing in the corner, if the person is standing in the corner, then we would require two thorns, because up and left side is blocked, because he is already in the boundary. अगर मैं कोने में चल जाऊं तो बस सामने से मुझे बाउंड्री करना है, क्योंकि पीछे तरफ तो मैं जा ही नहीं सकता. So if the other, so this is the condition. Now if A is not here, but let's say A is at this position, then we need three thorns to kind of block him. If A is not here, like let's say A is here, then we would require four thorns to block him. Okay, this one. So now I need to think of something else. So this was talking about the thorn. Okay, so now I would see, I would try to pack both of the person. First I would try to pack up A, and then I would try to pack up B. But in what condition we can't pack up? We can't pack up a condition when we have something like this. Like अगर मेरे और मेरे दोस्त के बीच गैप ही नहीं है, तो आप बीच में थॉर्न डालोगे कैसे? Okay, if the second person is downside, if the second person is this side, if the second person is either this side, so where will you keep the thorn? You need a cell to keep the thorn. Na? The person is not in the board for 10 10 7 0 5 2 test case. Okay, so 10 10. What is the way? Let me just see. 10 into 10 board. Okay, 7052. Why the person is not in the board? Can you tell me? 7. The problem description was poorly written. Clearly has been person in the board, but the test cases contains. But the problem description was purely test cases contain test cases where all of the people are out of the board. Where are you able to find this test case? Diagonal movement is not allowed. So, did anyone find this test case? Vamsi, were you able to find this test case in the backend? Because I don't think 7-0 should exist. So I just want to confirm that if this kind of test case does exist in the backend, and I am not a problem setter here, and the board is one indexed. Okay. So adjacent जब होगा, जब B के adjacent में, okay, this exists. Okay. So just let me copy it. Okay. It gave me wrong, but when I submitted it at around 4, yep, I solved this problem at around 4. It didn't give me a wrong answer. Okay, let me explain, and I would just submit it in front of you. I have not changed the test cases. Trust me. मैं झूठ नहीं बोलता इतना. आप जो सही है उसी के साइड हो. टेंशन मत लो. मैं देखता हूँ. आपके सामने ही देखता हूँ. ठीक है? जैसा समझा रहा हूँ वैसा ही सॉल्व करूंगा. अगर रॉन्ग आया तो आपके सामने आएगा. Okay? Fair enough. Now let's see. If the other person is in the adjacent, then we can't do anything but return -1. Okay, just remember it. But on the very first condition, if B is adjacent to A, then the value would be -1. Okay, but don't spam it. Okay, okay, just don't spam. I would check it in front of you. At least maintain the sanity of this stream, please. Okay, देखता हूँ आपके सामने ही देखता हूँ. I would see in front of you. Okay, if there is no adjacent, if B is not adjacent to A or vice versa, A is not adjacent to B, what we would do is we would try to block the 4 directions. Okay, left, right, up, down. Okay, now just say it. So the address of this one, if you observe, this is 0 0, this is 0 1, this is 0 2, this is okay. So like let's say this is 0 0, this is 0 1, this is 0 2, this is 1 0, this is 1 1, this is 1 2, this is 2 0, 2 1, and 2 2. So from this index, if we want to move up, okay, if we want to move up, okay, if we want to move up, then x remain, this is x and this is y. So if we move up, then x is decreased by 1. See, 1 becomes 0 1, and y remains the same. If we move on the right hand side, then y plus 1 and x remains the same. If we move on the left hand side, okay, y minus 1 and x remains the same. If we move on the downward side, x is added and y remains the same. So what we can do is we can declare an array of size 4, and we can just add these all consecutive values. Okay, So we would add the so we would just declare an array of size x and y, and we would add the consecutive values. Now, we would also declare a function known as safe function. Okay, क्यों safe function है? Safe function हमें बताएगा कि अगर 4 डायरेक्शन पे जा रहे हैं, let's take a condition that here for this b we can't move upward. Okay, so who would tell me that upward is not possible? Upward is not possible. Let's say I have here, b is here, then moving on the right hand side is not possible and moving upward is not possible. Why? Because it is outside the boundary. So we would design a safe condition, safe function, which would tell us that it is outside the boundary or not. And by the way, the safe thing and this xy thing are both a very famous technique that is used by most programmers to have a simplified way of implementation. Now, let's move to the implementation and let's see in front of you if the test cases are wrong or not. I would see it in front of you. No issues. Share screen, and this is minimum thoughts. By the way, I would make it A and B. Okay. Okay, just am I visible? So just give me a quick one. Okay, before we move forward, just give me a quick one if this thing is clear or not. Just give me a quick one if this whole idea is clear or not. So summing up everything in Hindi would be that हम लोग क्या करेंगे, ए का चारों तरफ थॉर्न रखेंगे, देखेंगे कि ए का चारों तरफ कितने थॉर्न्स लग रहे हैं, फिर बी के चारों तरफ थॉर्न्स रखेंगे, देखेंगे दोनों में से जो मिनिमम होगा वही हमारा आंसर होगा. बट एक छोटा सा इफ कंडीशन और रख देंगे कि अगर ए के चारों तरफ में बी आ जाता है तो वी वुड रिटर्न -1. व्हाई? बिकॉज इट इज नॉट पॉसिबल टू हैव इट इनसाइड. Okay, भैया, in the problem statement there was clearly mentioned that geek both will always be greater than 0, and why they have test case like that. Geek and geekina would always be greater than 0. Okay, let's see if this kind of test case do exist or not, because I don't find any test cases like this. My code worked. Okay, my code worked in the morning, so I'm not, the GFG team would be responsible if the code is not working now. ओके, एंड सॉल्यूशन भी यही होगा. अब मैं गलत नहीं हो सकता. अब प्रॉब्लम सेटर गलत है भाई. ओके, चलो आप और हम सही हो जाते हैं, प्रॉब्लम सेटर गलत कर देते हैं बिकॉज उसने मेंशन नहीं किया. So I'm pretty much confused about this point of time. So we need to iterate over dx and dy. I have already shown you. Just go back to the slide. Okay, so I would just write dx of size 4 and I would also have dy of size 4, and here what I would do is 1 minus 1. Okay, and then 0 0. Okay, and then नीचे जाता हूँ and then I would say 0 and 0 and then -1 and 1 itself. This is how I can move in all the 4 directions. After this, I would have a safe condition to tell me that if I'm within the, if this point is outside the boundary or within the boundary or not. So I have a safe thing. Okay, and the array is 1 indexed, so we would take use of that. So we have the x and we have the y and then we have m and then we have m. So now we would say if x is less than equal to 0 or y is less than equal to 0 or x is greater than n or y is greater than m. इससे these are the condition when we are outside the boundary. So we would return 0 from this condition. Else I would return 1 from this condition. Okay. Now let's write the function itself. Okay. So I would write int fx, just function. Okay. Now I have written a wrapper function because मैं a पे भी try करूंगा और b पे भी try करूंगा. So there are two options. Either I write the same code 2 times, or either I write a function where I can swap the a and b. Okay. So I have here int n and int n, and then okay, I have the int n and int n. Okay. So here I would have, why am I writing again? Let's just copy this thing. Let's not pass by reference. It won't affect much because we are just calling it 2 times. Okay. Now see, here we would start count. So now we would move in all the 4 directions. For int I is equals to 0, I is less than 4, and I plus plus. Okay. So here I would say new x is equals to a of 0 plus dx of I, and the new y is equals to a of 1 plus dy of I itself. Okay. After nx and ny is done, we would first check if the safe of nx comma ny and n and m itself. Okay. If first we are checking if it is within the boundary or not. If it is within the boundary, then we would first check that if this new, like adjacent to a, there is b or not. So we would just check if new x is equals to b of 0, and new y is equals to b of 1. Okay. अगर adjacent में बैठा हुआ है b, so we would return -1. Else I would just add this value. Okay. अगर adjacent गए, okay, adjacent गए और मुझे b मिल गया, तब तो मैं कुछ रख ही नहीं सकता बिकॉज उस दोनों में के बीच में गैप ही नहीं है. Okay. Okay, it's just like this. Like let's say I'm a best friend of a person whom I like. If there is no gap between her and her boyfriend, okay, then I can't take any turn on that. Okay, like I can't create misunderstanding between them. But if the gap is more, I can create a misunderstanding like this. You can just take an example of this. Okay, so if adjacent to that is not setting B, then we need to cover it up with a thought. Okay, at the end, just return the value of C. Now, this is the code that got accepted. Okay, so now we have answer of A. Okay, where we would call fx of n comma m comma a comma b, and then we would simply swap the value, same thing for b to a. First we would try to cover a, and then we would try to cover b. So here instead of b we need to write a and b. Okay, and then both of them में जो minimum हुआ, return minimum of answer A comma answer B. Now let us just check. अब मुझे भी डरा दिया तुमने. क्या होगा देखते हैं. Okay, let's just submit this. Correct. Okay, now someone was asking if x is less than 1. बस हो गया. X is less than 1. Okay, now select if x is less than 1. This would also same thing. Same. So why x is less than 1? Because it is told that the array is 1 indexed. the array is one indexed, we are told. So the value would lie from what? 1 to n. So if x is less than 1, then it is not a correct position. If y is less than 1, then it is not a correct position. If x is more than n. So because we know that the array is 0 indexed, so x would lie from 1 to n. 1 to n. So 1 से कम होगा तो invalid हो जाएगा, n से बड़ा होगा तो invalid हो जाएगा. That is why. Vamsi, am I clear? So I think this time the mistake is from your side. You just wrote the wrong. I think you have written the wrong wrong safe condition. This time GFG is not at fault. I think so. Okay, he is testing up left and right because he is iterating through and this. So Vamsi, can you please confirm that people who were all telling that the test case is wrong, can you please confirm? मैंने रिपोर्ट भी किया था टेस्ट केस लेके लेकिन कोई रिस्पांस नहीं आया. फर्स्ट टेल मी इफ नाउ द कोड इज क्लियर और नॉट. I would just give you the code in. So I have a lot of confusion. So yeah. So now let me just give you the code also. You can submit it by yourself. And okay, just showing you that I am pasting the same solution. Okay, just wait. I'm pasting the same solution which I got AC. And now you can see it for yourself if this is working or not. मैंने इस सॉल्यूशन पे कोई एडिट वगैरह नहीं करवाया है. भरोसा रखो आप मेरे पे. Okay, if you just see my previous submission also, if you just see it, then I submitted it around the first, like 10:32 morning 10. This was the same solution. Okay, I will just copy this, give you that, and now you can just check. बहुत लोगों ने रिपोर्ट किया था. दिव्यांश गुप्ता, am I clear to you? Okay, thanks. All right, thanks, mate. Please run for this. 10 10 7 0. 0 is not possible only. It is told. This test case, this test case can't be there. I guess the code doesn't check the location of the people. Why it won't check the location of the people? Can you please confirm? Why it is not checking? Which I'm trying to cover A, I'm trying to cover B. Just tell me. It might be the scenario. Please run for this. It is there. It is there. Yes, this test case is present. 10 10 7 0 5 2. चलो 10 10 7 0 5 2 करके देखता हूँ. ठीक है, चलो देखता हूँ. चलो इतना ही सही. 10 10 7 0 5 2. चलो देखता हूँ. मार खिलवाओगे यार, देखते हैं. Your output is 1, expected output is 1. As a present है. If it is present, then it is like, don't know. That this test case destroyed my code. वही बात है ना भैया, आप बिलीव ही नहीं कर रहे. मैं स्क्रीनशॉट दे दूं. अरे भाई कर लिया बिलीव, भाई कर लिया आप पे बिलीव. मिठाई खिला देना. गुरुजी मत बोल भाई, भैया बोलो. सही है, चिल रखते हैं. इतना कुछ सीरियस नहीं हो रहा. Okay, so how this test case is popping up? 7052. I think 7052. No, just check it. This is the correct solution. If you have got a wrong answer in spite of the solution, then you are not wrong. GFG is wrong. बट मेरा सोल्यूशन सही गया है, सही से एक्सेप्ट हुआ और मैंने लॉजिकली कोड किया है. ओके, और सबका बात सुना. वी डोंट नो हिंदी. सॉरी ब्रो, आई एम नॉट टॉकिंग इन हिंदी. कभी कभी. राष्ट्रभाषा है ना, so I respect it a little bit. Okay, fair enough. 5510 भैया, I'm not able to solve a single problem. Am I doing coding wrong? ऐसा नहीं है. So for those people who think that they are not even to solve a single problem and they are coding wrong, trust me that solving the first problem is a very, like, that that point, at that point of learning, this is the most hardest part of learning. Solving hard problems of DSA is not that tough. But the most power and the most dedication and the most type amount of hard work is required to get your first problem solved in a contest. तो इस पे थोड़ा सब्र रखो, सही होगा. Give it some time. Come on, give me some extra points. Sure, I would give. चलो, इस बात का एक्सप्लेनेशन क्या है आपके पास कि टेस्ट की जीरो कैसे आया? इस बात का एक्सप्लेनेशन यही है भाई कि प्रॉब्लम सेटर की गलती है. Okay, this has no explanation. See, don't try, like, don't just try run behind AC. Okay, to be honest. Okay, like after a certain point of time, the number of ACs you have received would mean nothing. Okay, try to run behind कि इस contest से सीखे क्या. Okay, at this point. सर प्रॉब्लम नहीं हो रहा, क्या करें? So at this point of time, solve a lot of problems, see the solution, learn from the solution. Every, like, take up every problem and try to see that I can learn something out of it or not. If you solve 100 problems and if you learn 100 ideas, trust me, you would be able to solve an 101st problem. Okay. So now let's move to the next question. Okay. Running instructions. So first tell me, did you teach third problem? No, I'm at the second problem. So first tell me if the first solution of the first problem is clear or not. If a test case like 0 is existing, I would report that to the problem setters. That is the mistake of the problem setter. But apart from that, the concept is clear or not. मैंने सीखा कि पिछले कुछ दिन चेंज होने से तो बिल्कुल मेहनत नहीं कर रहे. Don't spam it, Ashutosh. It is not expected from a person who would be sitting for an SDA interview. Okay, you need to be patient. Like in many companies, like still when I do freelancing and some a big project happens, like in many scenarios, I won't take the names, but many big brands, they still make me wait for around 1 hour, 2 hours. So I don't get impatient at this point of time also. Okay. So don't do that. Okay, at this point, I do a lot of freelancing. So many a times it happens that even the reputed names over the industry, over the India, they make me wait for 2 hours, 3 hours, and I just be there like, yes, it is fine. That's a part of the process. You don't get impatient. ये spam करने वाली आदत क्या होता है ना? If you spam me, it's fine because I'm doing my job. I'm getting paid for it. But if someone is taking your interview, then he is not getting paid for interviewing you. Okay, so he would say कि मैं select नहीं करूंगा, क्या कर लोगे? So don't do it. मेरे लिए नहीं बोल रहा. I am not getting affected. मुझे ये आदत है. मैं 2 साल से सुन रहा हूँ spamming and all. But आदत ही मत रखो. Like when I was in my school days, I would just say you this. When I was in my school days, what happened was I used to chew a lot of chewing gums. Okay. So then one teacher told me that don't eat chewing gums. If you proceed further in life and you take up this habit, you would always need something to chew, and gradually you would move to some so-called tobacco and all. Okay. So, like, I think that was true. Okay, like then I left the habit of chewing gum and something. But ये habit starting से मत रखो ताकि you don't have the habit of spamming in an interview or something, because the interviewer might take into that ego and he won't select you. Okay, chalo. Can you please explain this one? 4 - 1 0 0. Okay, so this is already explained here. Okay, just a sec, brother. It's absolutely fine. See, it is explained this one, this one. This one is explained here. See, this one minus 100. So I've explained this point. Just go back to this and you would be able to understand. Okay? Okay. Now let's move to the next problem. So am I clear with this? Give me a quick one, others. Yep. The code is correct. This is ये कैसे expert हो सकता है? Just solve a lot of problem, have a lot of experience. Panalam, I don't understand Tamil or Telugu. I think this is in Tamil and Telugu and I don't understand it. Okay, let's move to the next problem. Now, in this problem, there was a small thing to notice. Okay, and many people didn't notice. Like I understand the like. Let me just make it black here. So many people didn't notice it, but let me just make you remember. Okay, so remember the idea. Like let's say, yeah, let's say here. Let's talk about the question first. We are told that we have a big circle of radius m. Okay, we have a big circle and the radius is m. Okay, now we are told, just let me make this a little bit down. Now we are told that we need to follow an instruction. What is that instruction? That either run 10 meters, okay, either run 20 meters, either run 30 meters, okay. And this value of m here in the best case is 30. So we are given a track of circumference. What is circumference? Circumference matlab bagal wala cheez, okay. This is known as radius and this thing, yellow thing is known as circumference, okay. Just remember it. So now we are given 10, 20 and 30, okay, fair enough. So now what I can do is, if I'm given, what I can do is, I can just run 10. I can just run 10, 10, 10, 10, 10, 10. And then if I run 20, then this would be completed. Why? Because suppose this, let's say I visited 10. So leftover is 20. So by running 20, I would be able to make the whole. Now, after 10 and 20, I'm coming at this position where I started off. Now, if I again run, so-called again run, if I again run 30, then I would again land at this position. So yes, by 10, 20 and 30, I can land at the initial position. Okay, I can land at initial position. Okay, so this is the question that this 10, okay, this 10, this 20 and this 30. Okay, so initial position is 0. So if let's say let's say I have a circle. Okay, I go around, go around, go around, come back to the same position. So I can say at the same position means what? It is asking me that the displacement is 0. He is asking me that I want the displacement to be 0. Okay. And I can move clockwise and anti-clockwise. What do you mean by clockwise? Clockwise means this side and anti-clockwise means this side. Okay? Opposite to the clock and towards the clock. This is what clockwise and this is anti-clockwise. Okay. So now if we move anti-clockwise, let's say we have a value of 10. Okay. If we move anti-clockwise, our displacement would be minus 10. If we move clockwise, then our displacement would be plus 10. Do I make sense? Give me a quick 0 or 1. That if we move clockwise, my displacement would be 10. If we move anti-clockwise, my displacement would be minus 10. Am I clear with this? Bhaiya, are you an SD in GFG? Yes, I'm an SD at GFG. Thank you so much. I tried perfect sum but got wrong answer. Fair enough. I would just explain it. So first tell me if minus 10 and 10 is clear or not. Okay. Now the problem. Thanks a lot, Neetu Pandey. By the way, please change your profile picture. It's very cute. Like, let me just see it. Fair enough. It's very cute. Don't change it. Keep it. Okay, fair enough. Now let's move forward. By the way, you use this profile picture to mail the people regarding your, like, this is for your personal stuff, or you do all the official stuff with this profile picture only? Okay, just curious. Okay, fair enough. So just let's move forward. So now the problem is asking me that I want, the problem is kind of just telling me that let's say this is 10, 10, and this is 30. So if this is the test case itself, let's start with the very first. So we would start from 0. So we have two options for 0. Either we can have 10 or either we can decrease 10. Okay, this was for the very first index. This is index 0, this is index 1, this is index 2. And this was done for the very first index, that is 0. Now from this point, I can add 10. So if I add 10, earlier we had 10. So 10 plus 10 would be 20. If I decrease 10, 10 minus 10 would be 0. Because for each element, we have two options. Either to move clockwise or either to move anti-clockwise. Clockwise में add होगा, anti-clockwise में decrease होगा. In clockwise, the value is added. In anti-clockwise, the value is decreased. Okay. Now, if from minus 10, we add 10. Okay. If from minus 10, we add 10, then it would be 0. If we decrease 10, it would be minus 20. And this is for which index? This is for the first index. Okay. Now, let's talk about the third index. Okay. The third index में 30. Okay. So there are two options I can have. Okay. So 10, 20, 30. Okay. We just had it wrong. 10, 20, 30. Then I can explain it. Yep, see. 10, this would be 20. And this is index 1. Yep, see. So first, we can either add 10 or we can decrease 10. Then the very next one is, we would add 20. So 10 plus 20 is equals to 30. We can decrease 20. So 10 minus 20 is equals to minus 10. Okay. Then we can, from minus 10, we can add 20. So that would lie in 10. If we decrease 20, okay, if we decrease 20, then 10 would be remaining. Okay. This was done for the first index. Now let's talk about the very last index. Okay. So from 30, like the last value is 30. So if we add 30, it would round to 60. If we subtract 30, it would be 0. So from minus 10, if we subtract 30, okay, if we add 30, it would be 20. If we subtract 30, it would be minus 40. If we add 30, it would be 40. If we subtract 30, it would be minus 20. If we add 20, if we add 30, it would be 20. If we subtract 30, it would be minus 40. So here I can reach 0 by doing this. Okay. And basically this problem is nothing, but this problem is a very famous problem of equal sum partition. So equal sum partition is a very important or a standard problem of dynamic programming. And we are told that we just need to have equal partition. Okay, like what you can do is why equal partition, how we are coming to the conclusion that it requires equal partition, because we see here it is 10, it is 20, and it is 30. So we can group 10 and 20, and here we can group 30. As both of the value is same, so they would both have certain 30 minus 30 would be 0. So what we are trying to say is we can segregate the values in two groups. This group is also bringing me k, this group is also bringing me k, and I can make this group go clockwise and this group anti-clockwise. So ये k जाएगा, ये minus k जाएगा. So total displacement would be 0. So we would just divide the elements into groups, okay, such that this group would run k amount, this group would run minus k amount, and both of them together would have a displacement of 0. Okay. Now, displacement negative में कैसे? Displacement is not negative. Okay, it's official. Okay, so just give me a correct answer. So, have you solved all the 3 questions myself? Yep. Like many a times it happens. Like it happened in it happened in the 100th coding. Like if this is 105th, it happened in 100th coding that I was not able to solve the third problem by myself. Still, many a times it happens. Not many a times, I would say sometimes it happens that I'm not able to solve a problem. I'm not in a state of solving problem. Okay, like my mind is not working on that day. So I need to see solutions sometimes. Okay. So now we just need to segregate the elements into 2 groups. So am I clear with code with Akash? First tell me this. So now the idea is to just have partition of elements. Then I would discuss why everyone is going wrong at this point. Just give me a quick yes or no first. That this partition of elements into 2 groups, the equal sum partition idea, if you have understood till this point or not. First give me a quick yes or no. Sir, I've got to sir, अरे भाई इतना स्पैम करोगे रिप्लाई दे देता हूँ मैं. Don't worry about that. मैं कभी कभी solution देख लेता हूँ. Sometimes I see the solutions and most of the time I solve the problem by my own. Okay. It doesn't mean that every time I would be able to solve problems that I see. It's not correct. Many a times my mind is not working and I'm not in a state to work. Many a times I am also like I'm like the day is not good enough. I also feel low. I also feel alone. I also feel I'm preoccupied. Sometimes I feel that I have no work to do. And everyone faces that. It's completely fine. That's life. You need to accept it happily. होता ही है. Sometimes मेरे से भी क्वेश्चन सॉल्व नहीं होते तो क्या करूं बताओ. Bro, is this equal sum partition comes under partition TP? Yes. It should give negative 60. Okay, then it's fine. Just you got the idea on that. This is what I'm asking. It might be a scenario I'm made a small mistake here. माइनस लगा देता हूँ. पता चलने के बाद मिस्टेक कौन छोड़ता है. इतना भी तो नून नहीं हूँ. चलो लगा दिया. Okay. So now, if you see of this question, okay. So if you see of this question, so let's talk about this. So we need to run. Okay. So now the problem is that the value of m is till the value of m can be 10 to the power 9. Okay. The value of m can be 10 to the power 9. Let's see. Let me just see. Yep. The value of m can be 10 to the power 9 itself. Okay. So value of m can be 10 to the power 9. So I can say that this m is causing the issue. Okay. This m is causing the issue. But if you just see the circumference, okay, This is value of k. Okay, ki. Yep. Sorry. Yep. So if you just see, the value of ki can be as big as 10 to the power 9. Okay, can be as big as. Basically, to be specific, it is not 10 to the power 9, but to be specific, it is 10 to the power 9 minus 1, because here in this question we are told it is less than 10 to the power 9. So it just means that 10 to the power 9 minus 1. So I won't take that value. I would just say that the value of ki can be 10 to the power 9. So if the value of ki can be 10 to the power 9, and this is causing me the issue. Why? Because if you see, the standard way of solving this problem is dependent into m into k. And k value is very big. But here, if you observe, like here, this has the hint. Here in this question, in the constraints itself, if you see the constraints, here it is given that n multiplied by m is less than 10 to the power 6. We are mentioned this. Okay. So this is the very first observation that you have to do. This is the very first observation. Okay. कि हमें n और m में खेलना है. But m was causing the issue. But m won't cause the issue. Why you know? Because the circumference can be at max 10 to the power 6. At max 10 to the power 6. Okay. So let's say the circumference is just 10. Okay. And the value we are trying to achieve is more than 10. Like let's say the value of ki is equals to 20. So that just means that we would make two turns. We would make two turns here. Okay. So basically, earlier, if you remember, we solved a problem of what? Circular array. Circular array. So I got the hint from here. Someone was asking me na कि भैया आपने ये problem solve किया है कि नहीं? If I had not solved the problem, I won't be able to tell कि how I got the intuition. So I got the intuition that we are running in the same circle, and I learned something as circular array. Okay, then what I did, I went back to circular array. Okay, circular array rotation GFG. Let me just search circular array GFG. Okay. Now let me share this one. Okay. Like how I got the intuition. Now I will tell you that also. See, I quickly search circular array. Okay, I quickly search circular array because kind of we have the same thing here. Then I went back to the same. I read it very earlier. Then I got the hint from here. If you just see, okay, I would tell you where I got the hint. Okay. Yep. See, here I got the hint that I need to use something known as modulo. If I do modulo, if I do something known as modulo, then I got the hint of modulo from here. And now if I use something known as modulo, कहाँ से hint मिला मैंने ये भी बता दिया. Now if I use something known as modulo, okay, then this value of k, the sum of k, okay, like I can say that the sum would never exceed the sum of ki's can never exceed 10 to the power 6 if I use something known as modulo. And that is correct also, because I just want to know the displacement. I don't want to know how many turns I am taking. I just want to know at which point I am standing. So I would be standing there. So if I am running 20 kilometers in a circle of 10, then I can simply do 10 modulo 20 modulo 10, and I would be at position 0. This is simply like this. Like, let's understand this. Let's say I have a big circle, okay, and let's say the radius, or like the circumference of this circle is 10. So if I travel 11 kilometers, okay, let's say this is 10 kilometers. If I travel 11 kilometers, that just means that I would end at first, like I would end at first kilometer. If I travel 12 kilometers, then I would make one turn whole and I would end at 2 kilometers. If I take 13 kilometers, then I would just be at 3 kilometers. Why? Because 10 kilometers is wasted on taking one turn itself. My displacement would be 3. So if I am running 23 kilometers, my displacement would be just 3 kilometers. Why? Because 20 kilometers is utilized in taking 2 turns. After taking 2 turns, my displacement is 0. Then the 3 would contribute to my this. That is why the displacement is 3 kilometers. This is I got the idea from here. I got the idea that at this point I need to use something like modulo in here, and this would decrease the value of k. So now I can simply do modulo m, and m is what? M is the circumference. And now just use the same idea of equal sum partition and then just have modulo thing, and it won't ever exceed the value, and you won't get a TLE or something, and you would be able to memorize also. Okay, so now let us see this. So am I clear with the idea, like how I got the intuition of modulo? First tell me this. Give me a quick yes or no if I'm clear with the intuition of modulo. Okay, so what if we have a single element and that is equal to circumference of this element? What will happen? Then we are ending at the same position, so the value would be true. The value would be yes, because modulo m would be 0. Thanks a lot, Alirios. So just confirm if I'm clear or not, Harshita, you and others, if I'm clear with this idea or not. Like just use the modular thing, and this is where from I got this modular thing. Just confirm me with a quick yes or no. Okay, others, there are a lot of audience at this point. Just confirm that if this thing is clear or not. How I got the intuition of using modular. This is how I have got. It might be many intuition, but I just remember this is a circular, and I learned something a circular array. I went back, started reading it. I got something that I was using modulo. Then I implemented modulo, and I was able to get. Bro, can't we use prefix sum at every k and find whether prefix of mod, suffix of right, mod something? No, the problem is that each element either can be added or can be decreased. So we are having a recursion tree kind of thing. So when we have recursion, then the time complexity of recursion is high. So optimized recursion is known as DP. So we would try to use DP. So this is where from I got the idea of DP. This is a question of DP. To be honest, I didn't think much. I already have solved equal sum partition, so it was easy to figure it out. Okay, so this I got a recursion tree. एक वैल्यू ऐड भी हो सकता है, माइनस भी हो सकता है, उस सेकंड वैल्यू उस पे ऐड भी हो सकता है, माइनस भी हो सकता है. So I got the idea that this is recursion. Whenever I get the idea this is recursion and I need to optimize it, that is dynamic programming. Dynamic programming was giving me a space issue. Then I thought back, went back to my basics, and I thought that circular array means what हम modulo use कर सकते हैं, and the displacement is important. The distance covered is not important, so we are just using modulo. Thanks a lot, Harshita. Thanks a lot, Code with Akash. Okay, let's just move forward. Okay, this is how I got the whole intuition. चलो सॉल्व करते हैं इसको इजी वे में. Okay, first we need to have a vector of vectors. Okay, so let's just define a function. Okay, so I would just say boolean, and this would just return me if it is possible or not. And then I would take int n m and int m. Okay, and then I would take the vector int passed by reference k. Okay, and then I would take the index where I'm standing. Okay, then the value of q. Okay, what is this q? Q is the sum at that point. Q is the sum at that point. Okay, and then the vector of it, like this is not required up till this point. We would do that. Okay, we would do that at the end. As of now, this is a recursive solution. What would be the recursive solution if we have reached the end? Okay, if we have reached the end. So when did we stop in the recursion? Okay, screen not visible. Yep, find out. अब उतना प्रॉब्लम नहीं होता because I use my iPad. That is why I bought this one. I know from this. Just कोई मुझे बता देना and I would be able to see. So third वाला. That I didn't understand. Tell me the point at which you were not able to understand. B. Okay. जाऊंगा second वाला तो complete करो. If we have reached the end, like we saw in the recursion tree, that in the end, what sum we are getting, that is important. So we would say if ind is greater than equal to n, okay, then I would return the ABS of whatever sum we were able to achieve. Okay, and then it would be modulo m if it is equal to 0. So I would just write it also. If so, if the particular value, okay, this value, by the way, this solution is taken from the summation of some folks. Okay, because my solution had a bit, but like I scored in tabulation approach, but he did a memoization approach, and memoization approach is more beginner friendly, and this was akin to my solution, so I took up this solution, by the way, just making it a bit clear. Okay, so now the first thing, the ABS thing. So if the ABS, like whatever sum we were able to achieve, modulo m is equals to 0, because the displacement should be 0. Okay, like 20. 20, if the circumference is 10 and we have ran 20 times, then the displacement is 0. So if the displacement is 0, we would return what? We would return 1. That is true. Else, we would return 0 from this point. Okay, after this is done, we would say int answer is equals to f of m comma n comma k comma, because n m n and k, they both would be same, and we would move forward the index. Okay, we would move forward. Now we have two options, either to add that value or either to not add that value or to subtract that value. Okay, so here is the catch. So earlier sum we had, and then we would add the value of ind. Okay, add the value of ind. This is the very first one I can do. This is, let's say this is answer 1. Okay, this is answer 2, and this time we would do the same thing, but just this. And thus here, instead of addition, I can do subtraction. So both ways we are going, addition or subtraction. Okay, this is done. And as this value can be pretty large, so what we would do, see this with absolute care, we would implement modulo m here. We would implement modulo m here at this point, and that would be done. So now what we would return, we would say int final answer is equals to answer 1 or answer 1 or answer 2. Okay, and thus we would return it as the final answer. Okay, this was the most simple recursive solution. Okay, now, so am I clear with this small thing or not? Okay, first tell me if this small thing is clear or not. This small bit of code. Screen is now visible. Screen should be visible. Let me just check. Screen is visible, bro. 13 kilometers. So let me just. And this is where from I got this model of it. Okay. Yep, screen is visible. So first tell me if this small bit of code is clear or not. Whatever I just showed you in the recursion tree, same thing I did. Just after doing all thing, I know the sum can be very large. So I just implemented a module over there. Otherwise, everything is the same. First, May you are writing code such that when test cases are pending. This is akin to the partition problem. Like the implementation, this is kind of very similar to partition problem. Is ABS really required? Not required to be honest. But I just want to be on the safe side. Because I don't believe in the test cases of GFG like you. To be honest, I'm just being a brutally honest person. Okay, at this point of time, we would just memorize it also. After this recursion is clear, we would memorize it. To memorize it, we know that this value of q would never exceed m. So we would declare a of vector vector of int, and that would be just to be on the safer side. Okay, to be on the safer side, I would just say dp of size m. Why n? Because this index can go from 0 till the value of n. So n, and then what I would do is vector int. Okay, to be on the safer side, I would just do it with 2 multiplied by m plus 1 comma, and then I would initialize everything with -1. Like all the values of this matrix is -1 initially at this point. Now I would call the function if f of m comma n comma k comma 0 comma 0 comma dp array. We would also pass the dp array to memorize it. Then we would return the value of yes. Else we would return the value of no. Okay. Now at this point we would also have the vector int. Okay, vector int vector of int pass by reference and dp. And here at this point, we need to pass this dp also. Now, before returning, we need to save it in the dp array. Okay, just before we are returning. So we would say dp of ind comma q plus n. Okay, dnd of q plus n is equals to the value of answer. And before the recursion starts, we would check it. So if dp of ind comma q plus n, okay, if it is not equal to -1, then we would return dp of ind comma q plus n. बहुत मेहनत है भाई. Now let's just check. I'm very afraid that I might get that. अरे यार. Okay, this is the solution. You like there might be okay like okay, this is the solution. Quickly tell me that this is done or not. Till then, I'm just quickly debugging the code where I did wrong or something. Implement if ind is more than equal to n. Okay, if ind is more than equal to n, we would end at that point. If abs of this modulo m is equals to 0, we would return 1, else we would return 0. Correct. Then we would say dp of ind q plus n is not equal to minus 1. We would return dp of q plus n. Okay. Else dp of ind comma q plus n is equals to m plus ind plus 1 q plus ind whole comma minus 1 and this or this. Okay. Then this d vector array vector of n comma n dp vector 2 into n plus 1 minus 1 then m minus c. Man. Okay, the small mistake was that is greater than equal to n by the way this is done. So now quickly tell me if the solution is clear to you or not. I just showed you the recursive solution, then I memoized you in front of you and got an AC. The small bit of modification was this was the okay 2 into m plus 1 y. Okay, this one 2 into m plus 1. This is what you are q into m. This is what you are asking. This is what you are asking at this point. Q plus m. Q plus m. This is what you are asking me this. So you can save it in the MR also. I don't understand storing MVP. Instead of F, we can use key. Yep, absolutely. I just try to be on the safer side because 2 into 10 to the power 6 and 10 to the power 6 would be considered like big O of 2n and big O of n. Both are equal because constants are ignored in big O of 10 complexity. So I try to be as safe as possible. You can use Q also instead of that. No worries. Or me or I will come instead of I. This or this. So two times or is required if it is in a if condition. Okay. One or this is correct. Or a condition is not required, bro. Code with Akash. This is not required. I can simply use or. Equal is an assignment operator. Equal is a चेकिंग ऑपरेटर लाइक दो बार और रहे तो कोई वो भी एक तरह का सेम ही है बट वो यहाँ पे दिस विल जस्ट गिव यू like it might give you a simple answer but this is not logical to be honest. It's not logical to use here. See, you can use this also, you can use that also, and both would give you the output. But it's not logical. Okay, you should use or, and if it is within a if statement, you should use to or. To avoid negative index in the DP array. Yes. How can the value of n be add? Yes, the value of n can be add. Negative modulo is how much, bro? Negative modulo can be anything like C. The value of n can go from minus m to plus m. So that is why to be on the safer side, you can use that. Okay. Fair enough. Now, can I move forward? Just give me a quick yes or no. Just give me a quick yes or no, and then we can move forward. Just give me a quick yes or no. Bro, there are two stated. It won't be clearly since n is 10 to the power 5. Yeah. No, m multiplied by n is less than 10 to the power 6. Here it is written. See, m multiplied by n is 10 to the power 6. So I took the advantage of that. 2 into m plus 1 y because in the recursion tree share screen window if you just see the value of this can be negative 60 also, can be positive 60 also, negative also, the values can be negative also. So the negative values we are stored. So what we are doing is we just it can be till negative m to positive m, negative m to positive m. So 0 to m हम लोग यहाँ पे स्टोर करवा रहे हैं, 0 to 2m वहां पे स्टोर करवा रहे हैं, to store minus m to plus m. That is why we are taking 2 into m. Okay, am I clear to you, code with Akash? So if the value of the sum is odd, how can we do equal partition? Then it is not possible. Just have the if statement in the initial position only. Can you share this as you did with the first problem? Yes, sure. I would share the code. Thanks a lot for reminding me. Okay, I have shared the code of this. Okay. If the sum of the array is negative, how we can do equal partition? But if you can't have a if statement, like let's say the circumference is 21 and we have only one element that is 21. So here we can't really use the same solution of equal sum partition. Why? It is akin to equal sum partition, but it is not equal sum partition. Why? Because let's say the circumference is 21 and we have an element as 21. So here the sum is odd. But if we make one round, the displacement would be 0 and we can end at the same position. So here the solution is possible according to this problem, but according to equal sum partition, this is not possible. Okay. So in this problem, even with just one element, it is possible, else it is not possible. By the way, just wanted to see the like counted because I didn't have my dinner up till this point. So kind of I'm delaying the dinner because of you. So at least I expect a quick like from you. Let me just see how many number of likes are there at this point. The number of likes are absolutely very less. That is 10 to the power. Let's not 10 to the power. That is just 16. I made it 17 by liking myself. Can you increase the number of likes? There was a test case with sum is equal to, and the answer was yes. Don't know, bro. I just showed you how I got the intuition, how I coded it. I got a correct solution. And if I don't get a wrong answer or something, I don't know. It might be a test case. The sum is 91 and the answer was yes. Yes, the circumference might be 89 also. Third question. Let's move back to the third question. ओके चलो जाते हैं थर्ड क्वेश्चन. बहुत सबको इस पे बहुत मैंने सबका ना. चलो थर्ड क्वेश्चन करते हैं. This was the test case. The third question was interesting. Yep. So, yep. This is correct. It's very hot in Kolkata. Okay, let's start. So see. So here in this question, we are again given a matrix. So I would need to again change the paper. Okay, chalo. Now Here in this question, let's say we have this matrix. Hmm, this big matrix. Okay. And here the matrix consists of K minus K, K minus K. The elements of the matrix are just K or minus K, K or minus K, K or minus K. Okay. The element consist of this just K and minus K, K and minus K, K and minus K. Okay. So now what they want is they want you to go from this position. Okay. Top left, from top left to bottom right. This is the source, this is the destination. They want you to go from source to the destination, and they have a sum. Okay, they have a desired sum. Okay, let's say the sum is x. Okay, so they want you to travel in such a manner that after traveling, the sum should be x itself. Let's take an example how this can be made true also. Okay, let's say we have this kind. I think this is not required. Yeah, see. Let's say the value of k is equals to 3. So here we have 3, we have minus 3, we have 3, we have minus 3, minus 3, we have 3, 3, 3, 3, 3, 3, 3. Okay. So now suppose I want the sum. I want the desired sum to be, let's take a simple example. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I want the sum to be 12. Okay. So what I can do is I can simply follow up this path and the sum would be 12. Let's say I want the sum to be 15. So what I can do is I can simply go here and simply come back here. Okay. So now my sum would be what? My sum would be 15. Suppose I want the sum to be 18. So again I would go back 2 times and my sum would be 18. Okay. So this is very easy if you observe. Okay. What you can do is you can revisit the same cell and you can add up the values of k, 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 k. If you need minus k, then you can just subtract the value of minus k, minus k, minus k. Take that value again and again. Take that value again and again. Okay. So the very first observation would be that the sum would be built of x k's x multi. The sum कैसे बनेगा? How would we have the sum? The sum would be made up of x multiplied by k added to y multiplied by minus k. Okay. So first what we need to do is so k is common both of there. So x plus y. Okay. So what I need to do is I need to first, so if sum modulo k is not equal to 0, then not possible. The very first thing, the very first reason why the sum is not possible if it can't be divided by k. So now let's move to the second one. Okay, that इतने सारे keys होने भी तो चाहिए. Let's say I need a sum of 100, but maximum I can produce is 90 by using the value of k again and again. This is the maximum amount I can make. So if the maximum amount I can make is 90 and we need a sum of 10, then this is not possible. If the minimum I can make is 110, but we want 100, then also this is not possible. This is also not possible. So what we would do is, we would first check if the sum modulo k is equals to 0 or not. Okay. So if sum modulo k is equals to 0, then the answer might be possible. Okay. So then we would check if the value of maximum and minimum is there or not. अगर ऐसा है maximum और minimum का game है, if we know that if the sum lies from, so this is minimum and this is maximum, and this sum would lie, so the sum can be greater than equal to and less than equal to. Okay, sum is lying between this. Okay, if sum is lying between this, because if we take a path, then in that path either that value can be k or minus k. Where it is written, it is mentioned in the question that itself in bold letters that the each cell of the matrix contains k or minus k. So the sum of the path would be built up by k or minus k. This is what I'm trying to ask you. Okay. So now, first reason is that the sum should be inside this range, and sum modulo k should be possible because k से ही बनाएंगे ना. अगर k के मल्टीपल पे k का मल्टीपल ही होना चाहिए सम, that is why. And then this condition कि maximum 100 ही बना सकते हैं, but चाहिए हमें 110. This is not possible. Okay. And then the last condition is that we can alternate or not. Okay, that let's say the sum requires 3k, then 1 2 3. Okay, so we can't build up this, so the number of k required should be even so that we can alternate between k and minus k. Okay, they would come in pairs. Okay, so the value of k after dividing by k, sum by k modulo 2 should be equal to 0. Okay, yep, this is also a question of DP. Okay, so these are the three conditions. So what we would do is, we would find the maximum sum that can be produced and the minimum sum that can be produced for each of the cell. Then we would just check if the sum can be divided, if the sum modulo k is equals to 0 or not, because sum तो k से ही build up होगा ना, so divide by k होना चाहिए. Then k and minus k would come in pairs. Why? So that we can alternate between them. So total sum modulo k modulo 2 should be equal to 0. So am I clear with these three conditions? Can I move forward to the coding part? Then this would be more clear. And the illustration showed in the problem statement won't really tell you the solution. And the illustration is good enough, like the drawing is shown. And I would draw more awful than that. So am I clear code with Akash? Y x plus k and y minus k. Because it is built up by k and minus k. So can I move to the coding part quickly? At least can you reply? It has been more than 1.5 hours that I have been speaking. And at this point, I'm also a little bit tired. Just tell me, like, as a human, I'm tired, not because something else. So just tell me quickly so that I can move forward with, like, don't just keep me waiting, because keep waiting in front of the camera for more than 1.5 hours, a little bit tiresome job. You spent more on first question. Yes, because there was confusion more on first question. More the amount of confusion, more time I need to spend. Because ये तो game चल नहीं रहा है. Okay, this is not a game that we are playing. Okay. थोड़े वसूल है उनको भी respect करना पड़ता है. I have no values. I need to respect them too. Okay. But I'm not able to understand the peer concept. Okay. See, see, it's absolutely fine. I was waiting for this kind of question. Okay. See. Mhm. Mhm. So see, let's say I have 3 and minus 3. Okay. Let's say again 3. So what I can do is I can simply do 3 plus 3. Okay. Why I would do 3 plus 3? Because I want the sum. Okay, it should contribute to the sum. Like let's say I have the sum as let's say 8. Yeah, let's say 8. And I have the sum as 2 minus 2, then 2, 2. So what I can do is I need to alternate between 2 and minus 2 so that they would contribute 0, or I can take the consideration. So I am allowed to revisit a particular cell. Okay, I'm allowed to revisit a particular cell. So if I revisit a particular cell, then suppose this is A and this is B. If I go here and if I again come back here, then I would add this A and B together. Na? If I'm going outside and revisiting it, bahar gaya, wahan gaya, fir se wapas aaya. So revisiting would have two stations. Suppose I am at my home and I go to my friend's home, again come back. So I'm revisiting myself. I was in my home. I went to my friend's home. Again, I'm at my home. So this is what my value is taken 2 times. That is why modulo 2 should be equal to 0 because I'm allowed to revisit. Okay. K and minus K pair is not clear. Please give example. Okay. Now it is clear. Like I can revisit, but revisiting has a problem. Like I can go to my friend's house. From my house, I'm going to my friend's house, again coming back. So I'm visiting my house how many times? 2 times. My house, then again my house after returning from my friend's house. That is why each cell, I should have a consideration that I need to visit 2 times. Okay. I'm clear, get concept? Chalo. So I am a very lazy person. So instead of queries, I would just write Q. Instead of grade, I would just write G. This is done. Now, what I would do is I would take a vector of vectors and I would copy the code from the last one. Okay, the same code I have written for declaring the vector. Okay, vector and vector dp of n cross m. This would be n cross m. Okay, and then here, okay, here we would have for each location we would have two values, the maximum sum that can be achieved and the minimum sum that can be achieved. So we would declare a vector of size 2. We would make a 3D array of n cross m cross 2. Okay, we would make a 3D array. Okay, so now what we would do is for int I is equals to 0, I is less than n and I plus plus. Now what we would do for int j is equals to 0, j is less than m and j plus plus. So initially we would just fill up the position with int max and int min. So dp of I dash j dash 0 is equals to int max. So 0 is for maximum value that can be done. Int min, int min. This is int min, and this is done at this point. Now, the very first position, to reach the very first position, we don't have anything. Okay, वहां पे प्लस के माइनस के नहीं कर सकते, वहां पे जो है उसी को रिस्पेक्ट करना होगा. So dp of 0 dash 0 dash 0 is equals to g of 0 dash 0. Okay, and the same goes for minimum as well as maximum. पहले पोजीशन के लिए कोई मिनिमम मैक्सिमम नहीं होगा. Okay, now for the horizontal path, suppose there is only one row existing. If we have only one row existing, then there is only one path that we can just move horizontally. Okay, so if we have one row, we would just take the value of that. So for int I is equals to 1, I is less than n, and I plus plus. So here the minimum as well as the maximum would be the same. dp of I dash 0 dash 0, because there is only one kind of path. So I would say g of I dash 0, and then dp of I minus 1 dash 0 dash 0. Okay, and the same thing for here also. Then the minimum and maximum both would be the same because there is only one path that is there. Okay, okay, done. Now let's say we had only one column. We had only one column. Then there is no other path but to just go down. Okay, so we would do the same thing here also. Okay, for one column. From I till the value of n. Okay, here we would say dp of this one would be 0 and this one would be I, and this one would be 0 and this one would be I. Here I would say grid of 0 comma I, and this one would be 0 comma I. Okay, plus dp of this one would be 0, this one would be 0, and instead of that this one would be I minus 1, this one would be I minus 1. And this is also done. Now we would take the grid. Suppose there is one column, there is no path. Suppose there is one row, there is no only one path. That is why we are just using the value of that. Okay. नहीं समझ आया मुझे तो. Tell me the point at which you are not able to understand. Just tell me the line number. Like just mention the line number. नहीं समझ आया तो that means I need to explain the whole thing. But just tell me the point at which you are not able to understand. I would be more than happy to cater it. So int k is equals to abs of g of 0 dash 0. Okay. Why this k thing? I would just tell you that. Okay. Now we would have the queries. Okay. What is the query? Here, all the sum we would have at each step. Okay. So now let's just iterate over the sum for auto e dash q. Okay. For auto e dash q. And we would save the answer in vector int answer, and it's simple. Okay, we would save the answer in vector int answer. Okay, so just let me see. Okay, so just reply me when you have your free time. Code with Akash. I would be monitoring it at each step. Okay, so now this point is that if that sum needs to be built out of k, so it should be divisible by k. Okay, So k, x, the sum, e, so let's say this is k. Okay. So we are having what? Int and okay. So let's just have the value. So int, let's say k or minus k. This would be grid of 0 dash 0. Okay. And as the first value can be negative also. So we would just have it as ABS. Okay. So as we need the value of k, but we don't need the negative value. So we are just doing ABS. So this would be the value of x. Let's say auto x. So if the sum modulo k, because it is built out of k, if it is not able to divide, if it is not equal to 0, then I would say answer dot push back 0, that it is not possible. Okay, this is not possible. Else it might be possible. Now, dp of 0 contains the maximum value. So I would say if the x is greater than dp of n cross n minus 1 comma m minus 1, if the sum is greater than even the maximum value that we can have. Okay, and maximum कहाँ पे stored था? 0 पे. So 0. So the max. So we, for reaching the last value on the bottom right, the maximum sum we can achieve is, let's say, 100, and the sum is asking me 110. Then it is not possible. So first condition where it is not possible. Else, if x is less than the minimum, like the minimum we can achieve is 10, but he is asking me 9, तो सब कम से कम हमको 10 तो करना ही होगा, but सम तो हमें 9 मांग रहा है. This is not possible. This is also not possible at this point of time. Okay, both way is not possible. So we would say that here also we need to push back 0, और भैया ये तो हमारे पास possible है ही नहीं. Okay, now comes the else condition. Okay, now else condition, at this point of else condition, we would initialize int answer1 is equals to x minus dp of n minus 1 dash m minus 1, okay, dash 0. That is the maximum sum. Okay, the maximum sum divide by k. Okay, divide by k, and then if modulo 2, if it is equal to 0. Okay, so let's just have it. So if this condition of this modulo 2 is equals to 0, then I would say answer 1 is equals to 1, else answer 1 is equals to 0. So have I put the braces in a good manner? Is the first brace and the second brace is third brace. Yes. And at the end I would just say let us just compile and run and see. Okay, it conflicted. Int and okay, so what is this Q thing? So I'll just make it QR without an issue. It should work now. no matching function call for this one. Okay, let me just see it. So vector int and this one be vector. Mhm. At which point m के पहले let's just copy the declaration of the vector from here because I am not battling over this. Modulo 2 primary expected token for this. Okay, so just please see this also. After dividing by k, your output is 0, 0, 0, 0. Answer dot pushback. So am I clear with the solution? Just give me a quick yes or no. So while explaining, please take whiteboard into account. Why written that line and for what purpose? Why 3D array for DP? So that we can have the maximum sum, like the maximum sum that we can achieve for the current point and the minimum sum that we can achieve at the current point. Okay, so that is why 3D DP is required. Okay, now tell me the line number. In the problem, how you are revisiting the cell possible because I can move only right and down, right and down. Okay, so I can revisit that. See, see by moving only right and down. So right and down. Okay, again I can move right and down. So right and down is the same thing. Okay, like they come in pairs. That is what I'm trying to. Good, can you please explain? If you know my question, could you please explain me why 3D while explaining the code? Please take into consideration why written in line. Which line are you talking about? Let me just add the annotation for each of the line. Okay. No max or min because only one cell is present. Simple. Okay. Like for this, I can say that only one row is present. Only one, if one row is present, then the same like we can just move in the horizontal. So only so only one path is present. Okay. Here, same thing. Only one column is present. Only one column is present. So only one path is present. Now, when we come here, that not divisible by k, so solution can't be built. This is why we are pushing back 0 at this point. Now, if it is outside the range, okay, then we can't build it. If it is within the range and it is divisible by 2, then we can revisit it, because right and down, okay, like we can right and down is like we can just form it terms of pairs, no? We can use plus k and minus k two times to negotiate that value. Okay, like let's say the maximum value that can be achieved is 100, but we want 90. Okay, so we can just do plus k minus k somewhere in between so that it becomes a 90 value. So right and down. Okay. Can you please explain how many? Could you please explain then how you are revisiting the cell possible? Can you please elaborate it with the grid? Let's explain it with the grid. Mhm. Let's stop the screen sharing. Visit the see. Where is my pen? Mhm. Let me just close it. Mhm. Let me just close the app and start it again. Mhm. Yep. Done. Mhm. So see, with respect to the grid, okay, let's say we have this grid. Let's say this value is 10, 10, 10, 10, 10, 10, okay, and this is, let's say, right or down. This is, let's say, minus 10, minus 10. So the maximum value that can be achieved is 10, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60. So this is the maximum value that can be achieved. The minimum value is 10, 10, 10, 30. 30 minus 10 is equals to 10. So the minimum value that can be achieved is 10, and the maximum value, this is the minimum value and this is the maximum value. Okay. Let's say I just ask you that, bro, can you give me 50? Okay. And now 50 is within 10 and 60. So yes, I need to give him 50. So now see, what I can do is I can simply do 10, 10, okay, 30, 30, and then I can do something like 40. Okay, now 40 I have, then 50, then 60. Then again I can go just minus 1. Oh, sorry. I can't move back. Okay, sorry. Just let me rectify it. 10, 10, this is minus 10, this is minus 10. Yep. See, what I need to do is, this is 50. So I need to be able to build 50. This is what you are asking. So now see, what I claim is that sum divided by k. What was with respect to the code? In the code, I have written that x, let's say 50 minus the maximum value, that is 60, divided by the value of k is, let's say, 10. divided by 10, okay, is how much? 50 minus 60 is equals to minus 10. Minus 10 divided by 10 is equals to 0. And 0 modulo 2 is equals to 0. So yes, I can build up something known as 50. Okay. Let's say I ask you something known as 40. Can I build up 40? 40 minus 50 divided by 10. 40 minus 50 is equals to minus 10 divided by 10. Let's say 30. 30 minus 50 divided by 10. 30 minus 50 divided by 10 is equals to 20 divided by 10. So this is also given. Okay. So what I'm just saying is that I can take two steps at a time. Okay. So if the value is within the range, that let's say this is 10 and 60, if that value is within the range, I can build up 50. Okay. I can build up using this. Okay. Please explain with the whiteboard the intuition of the code. So, like, we can visit in pairs. I think you need to understand 3D DP a little bit more at this point of time. I think so. Like, if this is your first time understanding 3D DP, then I think that you need to first get your concepts correct with 3D DP, and then we can talk about this code. I think so. Because I just told you the same thing again and again, but I don't think it is working at this point of time. So I think you need to just be a little bit with basics. If still you can't understand the problem, like after explaining 3 times, if you're not understanding, it might be an issue from my side. It might be an issue with your basics. So first, I'm considering that it might be an issue with me. So just understand 3D for 3D DP from someone else. If you're still not able to understand from someone else, then the problem is with you, and then you need to get your basics right, and then you can. So if you are not understanding, then you can just ask me on LinkedIn. I think so that would be most sufficient itself. Okay, so I think so that's done. So that's it for today. So I would just give you the code part of this also. Just let me give you the code part. So as I tried to explain you 3 times and still you didn't understand, so first take the hint that I am not correct for you. So try to understand 3D DP from someone else. First, take me into suspicion. If you're still not able to understand from someone else, then the problem is with you. Okay? So learn 3D DP. If the problem is with me, just let me know. If it is clear, then it's absolutely fine. If it is not clear, then also the problem might be with me. Like for 3D DP, for a specific topic like 3D DP, I'm not the correct teacher for you. It might be a scenario, but I'm not very confident in that also. But I take that into consideration. Okay, so that's it for today. If you still have any doubts, I would wait for 30 seconds more and then I would turn off this session. So as of now, all the doubts have been cleared. Even code with Akash is understood. No, first check if I'm working for you or not. It might be a scenario that my explanation I'm not able to convey it to you. Like it might be a scenario that I might not be able to clear that for you. First take me into suspicion. First मुझ पे शक करो कि टीचर अच्छा नहीं है. उसके बाद अपने बेसिक्स देख लो. And it's absolutely fine. That is what we do in real life. Okay, so I'm not receiving any doubts for 30 seconds more. So if you are watching the stream in the recorded version, feel free to like and comment the video so that the reach of this video could be increased and this work could be justified. That's it for today. Thank you, everyone.